Ahmed, oh no.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. We hired a hoe. Well, nobody capitalized.
Look who it is.
Ah, it's Ahmed Mo. What are you doing here, Ahmed?
Guys, I'm just coming by to ask you to be worried about the coronavirus. I'm selling these masks for, these masks and the sanitizer for $5 a bottle, guys.
Ahmed Mo, I'm not buying hand sanitizer. No, you can't have my Funyuns.
I watched your dumpster diving in the hospital video. I saw you pull out those masks from the dumpster.
No, it's okay, guys. They're safe.
You popped them open to signify that they're now used.
I saw you rig the ticket machine at the Chuck E. Cheese by constantly jamming a fucking ticket in and out of the ticket counter.
You did do that. That was a pretty bastard move, Ahmed Mo.
Pretty epic, though.
Nobody saw it, guys.
The world saw it! You filmed it!
You put it on YouTube!
We literally saw an employee in the video look at you funny as he walked by.
You can't prove that, guys. It's fine. It's not real money. It's tickets.
I listed that video. What do you mean?
My sponsors don't care, guys. It's fine.
You don't have sponsors, Ahmed Mo.
My fans don't care, guys. It's fine.
That's debatable.
Ahmed Mo, we're sentencing you to the worst punishment in Chuck E. Cheese history. You have to go upside down in the ball pit and take a fucking 5-minute inhale.
I can't even inhale for 5 minutes for real, guys.
Every time you mess up, that's another 5 minutes you have to spend upside down, face down, in the musky depths of the ball pit.
I can't fit in the tube, guys.
I've been in a ball pit before, guys. It's scary.
Chuck E. Cheese is really, really weird.
Furries are really, really weird, man. They like dress up as animals and they beep each other. Can't have them getting demonetized after all.
It's true, it's true. No one mentioned the funny virus.
Today's episode is very, very scary, guys. We're reading CreepyPasta.
Welcome to Crossing the Line, a fanfiction podcast where we read, review, and critique fanfiction pleasure. We're not reading fanfiction this time, though, so fuck it. I guess it's technically fanfiction, but we're reading CreepyPastas this time. I'm George G. Poole, with my other hosts.
Virgil Vlogs.
And Blue Breed.
Want to say that a little louder, big boy?
And Blue Breed.
Thank you.
There we go.
Your fans will thank you. They'll know you're not a weak bitch.
What's everybody's experience with CreepyPasta?
I follow a channel named Lavender Town on YouTube, and she likes to find like actual decent creepypastas, and while she does a reading of them, she'll put footage of her doing like a artist illustration that goes along with the story.
Ooh, she's a girl, huh?
Yeah, she's really cool. She has like a good voice for it. That's really my like modern experience of creepypastas. I don't really go out of my way to look for them. Aside from that, we all know like the mainstream ones like Sonic.exe and Slenderman and all that.
And Squidward's suicide.
Of course.
And Ben Drowns.
It was a beautiful summer Sunday in the high school years. Actually, it was a Saturday. Let me start over. It was a beautiful summer Saturday in our high school years. I was staying up late watching Toonami return, and Tom Toonami himself did a Slender video game review and said, "Whoa, this is scary." And I said, "What is this? This is cool."
And then Tom turned to the camera and he looked a little bit more sinister.
His eyes started bleeding.
He doesn't have eyes except for in the bad version.
He turned into the bad version.
His gross floating CG head was on top of where his normal head should be.
He turns around and the camera has to pan down because he's 2 feet shorter.
And then I went to Blue Breed's dad's house, and he introduced me to Marble Hornets, and we shotgunned a lot of those. And I said, "Whoa, this is cool."
Blue Breed's dad showed you that?
No.
He made him.
The only thing Blue Breed's dad showed me was how to not give a shit.
And how to chuck corn cobs.
It's true. It's true. He had bad corn, and he told me and Steven to throw it into the woods. And when Steven threw his, it didn't go very far. So from inside the kitchen, we heard "was." And I threw it farther than Steven, and he was more proud of me than he was of Steven, his own son.
He was watching you intently chucking corn.
It was so cool.
X-ray through the
And
wall.
that's my creepypasta experience.
Wow.
Steven's dad was the biggest creepypasta of them all. Papa Blue breed.
Papa Blue.
Papa Blue.
We ain't talking about the damn Smurf.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yes, tell us what got you interested in creepy.
I think Squidward's suicide YouTube videos are very funny, and I'm familiar with Ben Drowns from people making fun of that also online. And Hero Brian I've not read, but I think it sounds very funny in concept.
There was some like Crash Bandicoot fan game on PC that just had that in one of the castle levels there was just a like window with the Squidward suicide head in there for some reason. Like you can like clip into the room and then his head like starts following you around for some reason.
Oh my god.
Scary.
That is.
Someone coded that in there for evil purposes.
I like SCPs, so I feel like that's sort of similar. They're
Oh
basically
yeah,
Oh.
SCPs are cool too.
Oh yeah.
But this is not an SCP episode, it's still the CreepyPasta episode.
Mm.
And we decided not to read famous ones, at least not ones that we know are famous. So,
Yeah, we're still trying to stick to our like the usual thing with the show where it's usually based off more recognizable IPs. So, you know, Mario looked at me on the screen and his eyes were black.
he said, let's not go. And they started getting closer.
He said, "Let's stay."
He had the realistic 3D hand coming towards you.
Congratulations, you found all 7 pages. Now all you have to do is...
Get out while you still can!
Elias just learned about Baldi's basics
true.
in education and has
I
been
should've found
living it
those.
up.
Oh,
You were
God.
secondhand embarrassed for putting on Markiplier at our friend's house.
Yeah, I was like, guys, I just found Baldi's Basics, and they all glazed their eyes over at me. I was like, no, I want to watch a video. And then George is like, put on the one we watched last night.
I didn't say that. You said that.
No, I
We
said,
already
I wanna
watched
watch-
a Markiplier video, and then you watched the same Markiplier video
No,
again.
I didn't want to watch it again. He
And
put
then-
it on again.
And then you subscribe to Markiplier. Now you're gonna get yelled at really
Well,
loud.
Actually, we watched the entire Markiplier Let's Play, and then I put it on in front of all of our friends and got embarrassed. And then, as punishment, they made me watch it again, so we actually watched it 3 times.
What? Oh my god!
Oh no, it was just the part at the end where Markiplier screamed "fuck you" to Baldi because he beat the game.
Oh, I thought you
And
watched.
you said, "No, not again!" And you like curled up into a ball.
I said, I don't want to watch anymore, Markiplier, turn it off.
You became so small.
No, I do think Baldi's very funny as he slaps his wrist and comes towards you. That game's great. It reminds me of all those Game Jolt, Twitch.io games.
You know, it's got a lot of really dumb stuff to it, but it's very funny and interesting just in that regard. Where it's like one of those things where it's something that's not necessarily new, but they're taking interesting ideas and turning it new. Like the reason Slender Man was even remotely popular is because that kind of like find the pages horror game like hadn't really been done before, so that really kind of set people off.
It was very off the wall, and it kind of knew how to jumpstart, like taking a survival horror and making it less like Resident Evil and more like dread-inducing. The point of the game wasn't to like kill anything; you were just defenseless.
Yeah, because at least to my knowledge, no one had really done like a horror version of one of those like PC learn educational games.
That's true. Yeah.
It was a cool idea. Like Sonic EXE is taking Sonic the Hedgehog and turning it into an evil creation.
Right, like it's taking ROM hacks and I kind of like that though. It's making ROM hacks sinister, and that's actually like a really decent like premise.
I know there are more sequels that may have been done, but I feel like Baldi could have done a better job of doing what he was doing. I mean, it's great. It's really fun and stupid, but I wish it was like, you know, like that like pumpkin garden game where you play those different like mini games in the garden. I wish it was more like that, where there's a bunch of mini games and like they were all messed up. Because a lot of those kids games were just like a bunch of crappy mini games with a splash screen.
Like a Freddy Fish kind of game.
Yeah, like, that could have been done so much better if it was like the more mini games you did, the more like corrupted the game got. But,
I'm very hungry. For
like,
you.
Pixel tearing as his mouth opens too far.
Just loud static.
And then the
Give me the.
No, I don't want it.
Give me the knife.
No.
And then I looked
No.
down, and all the
No.
items were just guns.
No.
I kept trying to
No.
hit back, and he just kept saying
No.
no.
No. No. What's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you guys?
Maybe when Ernest said "fuck you" to a cop when he stood with the light on him.
That was pretty scary. We may have told the story at some point, but basically we went to a local park at nighttime, which isn't inherently a problem, but officers still like look out for stuff like that because there's often teens fucking and sucking and smoking and toking.
We were like around 20, so a little bit older than teens, but a little bit younger than like adults.
Yeah, I'm just saying the point is like the reason cops would be there is because like kids would go there to do bad stuff, quote unquote bad stuff. Fucking in the park is pretty epic. But yeah, we were doing manhunt because we thought it was fun and it's cool to get out and do stuff. And then like a cop came by and like he had a spotlight going through the entire park, and I guess he saw me and another friend, so we couldn't really like hide in there because the spotlight was clearly on us. So he walked out and he started walking out and he's like, "You kids are?" We're like, "What are you guys doing now? Are you doing any trouble?" And we all said, "No, we were actually doing a hide and seek thing with our friends. Let me go find them." So he's like, "All right, go off." So started looking and say, "Hey, game's over. There's a cop here. Come out, please."
And he's just standing there with his hands on his hips going, "Yeah, it's over."
And we walked back out, and our stocky friend Ernest, who is very wacky and adventurous.
Stocky.
Look up Ernest's haircut on Virgil Vlogs YouTube.
Look up Ernest P. Worrell on Google Images.
Look up Ernest Chan on Google.
Ernest-chan.webs.com. Still
Anyway.
going strong.
Anyway, we got out there, so everybody's going around, and then Elias and our friend Ernest were walking out, and he flashes his big mag light over to see the last two people, and he like blinds his eyes like a bat, and he goes, "Yeah, fuck you!" And the guy goes, "You want to run that by me again, son?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, sir." And he's like cowering over in the light, like his limbs are enclosed like a velociraptor. He's like pacing the perimeter, like trying to keep his distance. He's like, "I'm sorry, sir. I thought you were our other friend," like flashing me with his phone. Like, "You think his phone's as powerful as a mag light?" And then we got that all sorted out. Nothing happened. He was like, "All right, well, I just wanted to make sure you weren't doing any like drugs or whatever." So then he left, and we went to our cars because of a side story, but our friend almost got a ticket because he thought it was so funny that he could take up 2 parking spots. So he our friend Cody, he parked in sideways in 2 spots because he's like, "Yeah, I'm fucking cool. No one's gonna do anything about it." He's like, "Well, technically I could, but I won't." But so yeah, we went back to the car, and then Ernest was like, "Yeah, I told the cop, fuck you. I'm riding this high, baby."
Whoa.
To be fair, it wasn't very like direct. Stop! It was like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, fuck you.
Anyway, other things. I remember this was another story. Sorry, I'm taking all the stories.
No, you're fine.
We, Steven and I, this was like high off of the Marble Hornets kick that I had gotten on in that same summer. And, there was a pole barn, which if you don't know, Steven, could you explain a pole barn?
Okay, so what we mean by a pole barn is it's essentially a barn building that has an open one side. Essentially, it's, you could compare it to sort of how, self car washes are, how you just pull into a spot and you hose something off.
Yeah, so it's like a line of garages, basically, with no, like, door to keep anything in.
Right, it's just like a roof and the subsections, essentially, and it's run down. It was right next to our house, and it was like really scary and abandoned, and fucking the grass was like fucking 2 feet tall because no one was mowing it.
Yeah, it was up past our knees.
Yeah, at the time, no one had bought that property yet.
But yeah, so that was riding off of that Marble Hornets high. I was like, dude, we should get out there. We'll be like ghost hunters. It'll be awesome. Because everyone has a point in their life at some moment where they want to hunt ghosts.
Some
no matter
people
who
do
you
that
are.
much later in life.
Oh yeah, there's
some people still do that and make a career out of it.
Some people freaking are just so irate in their fucking adulthood, man.
Some people used to be the irate gamer, and now they hunt ghosts professionally in our town.
Specifically
they did come
that.
to our town. But so yeah, we went out there and like I had this shitty like knockoff flip handheld camcorder. So if you guys remember the summer of flip camcorders where everything was crazy because you could record something in like 720, and that was big for the time.
Oh yeah, I remember fucking Zack Ryder in WWE. He used to come down in his entrance recording himself with one.
Yeah, didn't you have a flip for like parkour stuff?
Yes. And they were called HD, even though it was 720, which at the time was HD.
Mm-hmm.
I had to freaking get rid of mine when I moved. It stank.
Why?
Because I was like downsizing and I didn't want to move a lot of extra shit that I didn't use.
It was like 2 inches.
It's like if you're carrying what you can hold, it's like, you got this stuff.
I guess, but it's like 2 inches.
Just making sure I had like what I needed and didn't have a lot, because I never used it. I just had it for novelty.
That's fair. That's another thing I think of most people, especially now in the internet YouTube age, like growing up, definitely had a camera, or nowadays they just have their phone, which is also a camera. But if you're like us, we're a tiny bit older, so like camera phones weren't the biggest thing at the time. Anyway. We went to the pole barn in the middle of the night, walked through, thought we were going to get bit by a fucking snake or a raccoon or something just because the grass was so high. And we were like flashing, did we have mag lights? Or were they just big lights?
Let's see here. We had like 2 small AA flashlights.
Yes.
I had what you would call a mag light, but it's an older one that had a big yellow white light bulb that didn't really show much.
Oh, I know this.
Yeah. It's one you use to fucking clock someone over the head with, not really one you use to see your way.
So we were walking around, I was like filming the thing on my shitty camera, so you can't see anything at all, even when I'm looking at a spot that has the flashlight on it. I'm like, does anybody here? And I did like give me a sign, and I'll do the,
Oh no, I remember what. I'm sorry to interrupt. I remember what it was. We had that mag light, but we were like switching it back and forth because we didn't have flashlights at the time.
Oh.
Yeah, because I remember I was like sticking really close to you and whatnot.
So yeah, because we went there another time. Me and Elias had a bonding moment there. That's another story. We went there. I was like, "Is anybody out there? Can someone give us a sign?" So I do like that cliche thing where you hear like the, and then like we could just barely hear the faintest, like if that even pops up on the recording or not. It probably will. I'm doing it on the table the mic's on. But yeah, it was like it tripped me out because I was like, what? And again, I was in the headspace to totally like believe anything that could be anything. So like, dude, this is crazy.
I remember I freaked out and I recorded that, then fucking put a video on Facebook where I freaking repeated that soundbite 10 times in a row.
As all good ghost hunters do.
Yeah.
Gotta have that time.
Yeah, with our shitty flip footage that you can't hear anything, or you can't see anything, you just have to listen. You like put text that said just listen. But yeah, we were like freaking out because they're like, it just like seemed too big to be coincidence. And again, we were high schoolers, so of course. But
it was cool either way.
Yeah, it was cool. It's one of my favorite like quote unquote ghostly experiences. So yeah, that's my coherent story. I'm sure. I'm sure my words were good.
I thought, yeah, you got.
Steven, do you want to tell a scary life experience?
Let's see here. So when I was in Tennessee, I used to have a reoccurring nightmare, but that's not the ghost story. It's leading to it.
You can cut this out and then use it for your animation channel. You were going to do that?
Oh, true.
You were going to do your V2 storyboard animator. and tell stories. So here's your chance.
Oh god. Right when the fucking genre's dying as shit.
Bring it back.
Time to cash your last
Bring
pennies.
it back a month after it crashed.
Why'd it crash?
Because so many people were doing it. Like, even Logan Paul was doing it.
Ew.
Yeah, Chotch Tales, 6 episodes every Thursday.
It's like to draw my life, but more profitable and long term.
I guess.
But,
It's a lot of work.
oh, you know he hired
it
someone
sure
else to do it. No.
That's true. It could be a lot of work, but most people don't make it a lot of work.
Yeah. Like, the only people that... Okay, we're gonna get into fucking storytime animation. Alright, now
Scariest thing.
that's fucking scary, dude. The way they move pose to pose with no in-between. How do they do that?
A mere 10 drawings for a 5-minute story? Easy.
One background.
No background.
What's
Traced
this?
odd ones out.
Fanboy and Chum Chum is an underrated masterpiece. What?
Steven, you want to trace odd ones out and make your own videos?
Yeah, man, I'll make him black and I'll talk about what would happen if I went to VidCon.
If.
I'll call my name Goodman Fox. The Good
How
Fox.
can you trace off one out? It's already just a fucking stick figure with a fat body.
I'll just trace the Fox Goodman, but don't tell him, alright?
A tracing of a tracing. Cut him some slack. He's a high schooler.
Oh god.
Anyway.
So, back to what I was saying.
This is a good episode.
It is. I'm having fun already. We mentioned Fox Goodman. That's already a good time. When I was in Tennessee, I had a reoccurring nightmare where something would have crashed through my friggin' closet door and scare the shit out of me. And then when I was a little bit older, I stopped having that nightmare, but I used to sleep with my bedroom door open so that I could see essentially from my room into the kitchen. In between the kitchen and my room was a railing because we were kind of on 2 floors, but not really. Regardless, a number of times when I was laying down in bed at night, like wide awake, I know, because like at the time I was literally like pinching myself to make sure I was awake because this kept happening. I would see this weird like shape in my doorway, and it would look sort of like an owl, I guess, like a silhouette of a big ass owl with friggin' eyes. And every night it would appear to be like an inch closer to my door or some shit. I remember one time I saw it almost kind of shimmy. And when I look on it now, it's funny. I remember I told George in middle school the story, and he, like, laughed at it, because imagine this big thing with big shoulders, because it's like a weird owl silhouette, all of a sudden going...
Oh my god.
Like, shit, yeah, and it scared the shit out of me as a kid, and then fucking the day after that happened, it stopped. I never fucking saw it after that.
So what?
Yeah, I never saw it again.
Was it Reginald?
No, I did have Reginald. He found me.
And then the next day your dad said, "Look what I found, Stephen. I'm going to call him Reginald."
Oh,
For
God.
context, Stephen has a large nutcracker figure named Reginald. It is like 5 feet tall and sits in his room.
It used to sit in our shared house doorway.
It's his true sleep paralysis demon.
It's like a giant like dream catcher, but it prevents nightmares.
It's true, he's my protector. But, and I remember it really freaked me out because it's one of those things where you're making sure you're awake because you're unsure of, like, if you're having a nightmare or if you're groggy or some shit. And I was always, like, pinching my hand under the covers to, like, make sure I was awake, because that's the whole fucking stereotype. If you feel pain, you're awake or whatever. And I would friggin' look, and I would try to make my eyes adjust to make sure it wasn't, like, a dresser or, like, a piece of furniture. And no, nothing could have caused that friggin' silhouette. And it's really weird.
Yeah, as a kid especially, it's really hard to rationalize. You just gotta go with it.
Right, exactly, and that's really the scariest story I had, like, growing up. That freaked me out.
I think I was thinking of nothing, but now that you say reoccurring nightmare, I used to have a recurring nightmare that was like, it was like just math basically. I was a really big nerd when I was younger, when I cared about homework and scores and stuff more. When I got into high school, I basically just did the bare minimum and did well on tests, and it was fine. But when I was in middle school and grade school, I was really concerned about my grades, so I would have fears about math questions and boring stuff like that. But it really got to me, and so I don't know how I can make that scary, but that's what I got.
Well, let's see here. If you don't mind, I can go first this time.
All right. So yeah, now that your bones are effectively chilled, you can really be proud of yourself.
I'm sorry. At one point, I pulled up the Ernest Chan website that I was talking about, and I was like, oh, I'm going to read first, and then I awakened my friggin' tablet only to go straight to the homepage. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fucking scary. All right.
Yes. Now, the real bone chilling begins.
Oh, we should turn the lights off.
Okay.
Gosh.
I've got a scary policeman story also.
Was it paranormal policeman?
No, it was
He was very real and had a lot of authority.
back in high school before I had a job, so when I was like 15 or so. I would go out and sometimes stay out all night, like go to the beach and then just walk back in the morning when the sun started to come up. And doing so, walk past a lot of shady characters and homeless people on bikes and things like that, like 3 to 4 in the morning. And one time, I went swimming with a girl I was dating. We were walking back in soaked clothes from the beach, like normal clothes, just soaked in water. Probably holding our clothes and just wearing boxers and a shirt or something. And we were walking. I probably lived 3 miles, 4 miles from the beach, but maybe less. We were walking, and the policeman pulls up and just tails us to try to get an idea of what we're doing. But because he didn't just come up and stop us, he just tailed us with a light for 5 minutes. I guess because he wanted us to stop and we didn't pay attention. It was just we were being followed by this spotlight at 4 in the morning. As we were walking, it was oh no, what is this person gonna do to us? And we just walked and didn't say a word for 4 minutes in the dark, and we were soaked. It just felt really scary and shitty and sandy from the beach. And then eventually he stopped us and asked us to take us home or whatever. But just being trailed by a car, the spotlight at 4 in the morning, walking home vulnerable without our clothes on and stuff. As kids, it was very scary. And that's why policemen are creeps. It's really scary.
Every last one of them.
Oh.
That is a spooky scary. Now the bones are particularly chilled.
Just cut out my math one and replace it with that.
Well, now I can't because you said that.
All right. Let's see. Should we read the titles or no?
Nah, because
True, that would
part
give
of the
away.
fun is when we figure out what it is you're referencing.
True. Okie doke. As you may know, the one and only Sonic anime, Sonic X, was my third favorite show. First being SpongeBob, second being The Amazing World of Gumball, and fourth being Adventure Time.
Why do we need to know the fourth?
But now, these days, 4Kids Barley announces new episodes of the show. Just some Yu-Gi-Oh! Episodes, Tokyo Mew Mew, Mew Power episodes, and other crap I can think of.
4Kids doesn't exist.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is this paranormal world where 4Kids is around but Gumball's out?
But there was an episode of Sonic X that I hated, named Girls Jungle Trap, which was episode 58. I hated that episode a lot because
it had girls, I bet.
Because Amy, Cream, and Cosmo are kidnapped in a fucking jungle, and Sonic, Tails, Chris, and the other boy characters I can think of are supposed to save them.
Did Chris Chan fucking write this?
And that was obviously one of the worst ideas 4Kids ever came up with.
What does this have to do with CreepyPasta? It's just ragging on this episode.
Do you know how CreepyPastas work? You have to sprinkle in those details in there so it seems more realistic.
Is it just gonna be a long review of one episode with no creepypasta?
It's creepy, alright.
It ruined Son Amy too. Episodes 52 and 65, in my opinion, were so much better.
Wait, why'd they ruin Son Amy? Tell us, President. So
Of course, classic episodes. How
I
could
almost said your
forget?
full name.
Fuck. I don't know why that would ruin Son Amy at all, honestly. I know the episode he's referencing, but like I can't think of anything that would ruin specifically that ship. But anyhow.
Are you more of a fan of Kaz Tales or Fiona Tales?
It's unfair because, like, in the friggin' anime, there are two different relationship dynamics, and one has build-up and the other doesn't. I guess Fiona Tales because, like, the dynamic is a lot better in that she goes for Sonic, and he kind of he's been crushing on her since his own comic series, but at that point, there's a lot in fucking Archie comics.
Remember in Sonic X when Rouge gave Tails a blowjob in that tournament and then he lost?
It's true, she kissed him on his dick and he fucking lost. He fell right out of the fucking ring.
That was crazy. Please continue.
Anyway. At school, one of my friends were talking about the future of Sonic X, and I didn't really bother joining that chat because they were just spamming about a sequel to Girls' Jungle Trap.
That episode was so good, dude. We need the girls to be trapped again in the jungle.
We need a Jungle Trap sequel. They never made it out of the jungle.
Guys, I really want episode 58 part 2.
It's like an episode of Cowboy Bebop where they'll just like die randomly, but in the next episode they're back. Nothing happened.
I just watched them talk about that shit until I heard the word episode 80 come to my head. So I joined that chat even though I didn't bother to.
What?
He joined the chat even though he didn't bother to. I'm reading this verbatim, by the way.
Of course, that's the company policy.
Mm-hmm. I asked them about episode 80, but my girlfriend said that 4Kids has not even reached that episode yet because they didn't do episode 79 yet. At 3 p.m. I was finally able to go home. But when I walked home from school, I found an abandoned tape. And the tapes...
Guess what the tape said?
And the tape said Sonic X80 on it. Bingo! I have found a lot.
I was gonna guess bitches galore.
I was gonna guess Jungle Trap Part 2.
He's just walking home and he finds his tape.
A VHS tape.
In a world where Gumball is already a thing.
And
yet there's a VHS tape just lying on the road outside of the school.
Right. Oh, God. It's like post-2010 because it's friggin' Adventure Time in. Oh, God. Anyhow. The tape said Sonic X80 on it. Bingo! I have found a lost episode. Pretty much I haven't found any lost tapes in my life, so this is a really big find. When I went home, I realized that Mom and Dad were out to... When I went home, I realized that Mom and Dad hate having unknown tapes in the house.
So Dad slapped it out of my hand and it shattered into a million pieces.
So I hidden it behind my books in a bookshelf. On a Friday night, Mom and Dad were out to a meeting, and I had to look after my brother Anthony.
A meeting with their pussy and vagina.
It's true, it's true.
That was a good high five.
Very quiet.
At 1 a.m., I started thinking about the tape, so I got the tape and I played it on my TV. I was hoping it would absolutely not be any Girls' Jungle Trap shit ruining my TV screen. I wonder what will come up, I thought to myself. I was hoping the volume to be low because I didn't want to wake up my brother Anthony. Anyways, when I played the tape, it showed a countdown, and then the episode started. Instead of showing the stuff that happens before the intro, it skipped all the way to the intro. I hummed along to the song. Nothing odd until I saw that Chris was missing. I think it's
They made the show better?
How? He's not in a lot of episodes, right?
How does he see that? No, he's in every episode.
almost, yeah.
How does he see that he's missing? Does he just...
He'll describe it.
I think it's because of the fact that he left to his home back in episode 78. That makes sense. I continued anyway. The title of the episode was Revenge of the Jungle Trap.
He pulled his hair out.
Anything but that episode.
When I saw the title, I was alarmed because the sentence Jungle Trap meant that it's most likely gonna be the same shit that the writer of Girls Juggle Trap it's gonna be the same shit that happened in Girls Jungle Trap. And not to mention that it also said a special Son Amy episode at the top. And from the writer of Girls Jungle Trap on the bottom.
The most popular episode.
I was starting to think, was this episode meant to be released for all the Son Amy fans, including me? The episode began with Sonic and Amy at a fancy restaurant. The name of the restaurant was Le Café Miro 81.
Hold on. Elias, what's your favorite Sonic ship?
Well, the girl's gotta be Rouge.
Of course.
This is going to be a hot topic. I'm going to judge you so hard if you say the wrong guy.
I guess Rouge Shadow. He's cool and she's hot. That's all you need. I mean, sure, he's a horrible person, and he's the only legally allowed to swear Sonic character.
That's not why!
You like Nux Rouge because he has a big Gemerald and she wants the Gemerald, so they have Tom and Jerry antics together and then they fuck.
That's appropriate.
I just prefer, like, they have a good dynamic with each other, right down to the fact that he fights with his fists and she fights specifically with her legs, so they're kind of like two halves of the same whole. And also I like Shadow's dynamic with her as just his best friend, because, like, his whole dynamic with,
He doesn't need friends.
God, I don't want to think about modern Shadow.
Alright, change my answer to Robot Sonic.
Just Robot Sonic?
Just by himself.
Metal Sonic?
Just Metal Sonic.
Metal
He's pretty cool.
That bachelor life, baby. Bot bachelor.
Metal Sonic has a lot of, what do you call them?
Features.
Swagger.
Silver Sonic.
Not concubines, but...
Whores.
Yeah. That's all.
Steven, what's the girl's name from the movie? Not the OVA? The princess?
Oh, God.
Princess.
From the OVA?
Yes, with Metal Robotnik.
Let's see, she's not a princess, because she's like the daughter of the president.
Yeah.
She's the princess and the daughter of the president.
Princess President.
Princess President's daughter.
Shit, I forget her name.
Well, my favorite ship is her and Elias. They
You
look
can't-
so good together.
I'm not a Sonic character.
Oh, you are.
Anything can be a Sonic character, even you.
My OC is just me.
There's that scene
Yeah.
where Tails grabs her boobs out of fright and Knuckles goes, Tails! And he goes, sorry.
I'm so sorry. I never thought you'd stoop that low.
He did say that.
Yeah.
He did call Tails out for sexually aggravating a woman.
Even though the entire reason Knuckles ends up, like, helping Sonic in his fight with friggin' Metals because Elise, or whatever her name is, kissed him.
Elise.
Oh, God.
Ah, Princess Elise!
Princess Elise.
She's beautiful.
She's Final Fantasy CG.
I want to hold her and break her because she's brittle.
I want to stylize her in a way that doesn't look bad.
Steven, fuck you.
You just don't get it.
She has a porcelain doll face.
She sure fucking does, doesn't she?
If you kissed her on the nose, it would fall off.
It would detach and be attached to your lips.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. You could eat it.
You could get lead poisoning if you paint.
Her fucking skin is lead paint.
I'd slap her sunburned legs, and she'd go, "Ay, ay, 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 ay."
That was nothing. Resume your story.
Oh god, let's see. Oh, sorry. I was starting to think, was this episode meant to be released for all of the Son and Amy fans, including me? The episode began with Sonic and Amy at a fancy restaurant. The name of that restaurant was Le Café Miro 81. Pretty much that was odd, seeing as that was the name of a restaurant in the 2000 horror film Final Destination.
What the
Oh no!
It was a crossover episode after all.
Amy was wearing her dress that was seen in episode 65 of Sonic X.
Gonna describe it, or?
Now I have to look it up.
No.
Amy
Already
Rose.
That's
Going
cheating.
so-
We only have the context he gives us.
Okay.
You have to watch the whole episode.
Sonic was wearing a fancy tuxedo. Amy and Sonic were about to kiss. I thought to myself, yay. Except there was something strange and wrong. The music was playing in reverse, and the animation was in grayscale. Strange, I know. Just when Amy was about to kiss Sonic, an asshole kidnapped Amy, and then I said...
An asshole? That could be anybody.
Just some asshole from Sonic X.
An asshole kidnapped Amy, and then I said very loudly, "What the fuck? No, not again!"
You're gonna wake up your brother.
Then
You know,
Sonic,
wake up your mom after her pussification.
then Sonic was sent into action. Huh?
They say, "Bye, son, we're going out," and then they walk upstairs and close the bedroom door and lock it.
And said, I love when they turn on the washing machine before they go.
Sonic was sent into action, but then the screen cut to black. I was like, huh? The screen then snapped back with Tails, bending down to Cosmo's grave and saying, "I miss you, Cosmo," in a sad, loving tone. Then he was interrupted by Amy's yell for help. Sonic said,
Interrupted from mourning.
Sonic said, "Don't worry, I'm coming for you." But the animation was blurry this time, and all I saw was a blue blob jumping over a yellow one and was headed towards the pink one. I pretty much wanted to turn off the TV, but I didn't really want to. I wanted to see the rest of the episode. 2 minutes later, there was a scene of Cream all alone in a subway. When she boarded a train, the train announcer said,
Not that subway, you idiot.
"They established in Sonic X that they're fucking... There's no modern technology besides Eggman on their island."
Not even a modern sandwich shop.
A subway?
All alone in a subway.
That description gave me a really, really scary flashback of the time when I was in, I think, middle school, maybe early high school. I was watching an episode of Sonic X on Comcast On Demand. It was one of the early episodes, and some gust of wind blasts Amy away. I noticed that there's a shot where she twirls around, so I spent an extensive amount of time trying to stop it on the perfect frame, I could see if they drew underwear on her. And it's just like a pink nothing.
Yeah.
There's no blackout or anything, but there's just nothing. It's just a pink body with legs attached to it.
It's true. And yet, during the Metarex saga, there's a shot that starts out with Cream walking from the foreground up close to the camera towards Tails and the middle ground, and it straight shows her fucking panties up close.
In the games, it happens all the time.
Exactly.
It's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They wonder why people are fucking horny.
I mean, shit, her skirt has no fucking...
Yeah, in Sonic Adventure 1, her Amy just existing just blasts out her underwear at every given angle.
Mm-hmm. It's very true.
Anyway.
There was a scene of Cream all alone in the subway.
A scene of Cream.
When she boarded a train, the train announcer said, "Next stop, Grieving Park." For some reason, Grieving Park happens to be a sad park.
Wonder why.
Was Cream upset over something? I was hoping she wouldn't cry, but she did.
Oh.
Her crying was really annoying, as my brother's crying. Both are way too loud, but Cream's was loud as hell.
Just this long animated shot of Cream the Rabbit bawling her eyes out on a train.
I mean, it's only 20 minutes. It can't be that long.
It sounds like Ernest. Dude, Cream is so fucking annoying when she cries. My ears were bleeding unconstantly. Luckily, my brother did not wake up. The scene of her sadness ended, thank God. The scene then showed Shadow with Rouge.
Oh, my parried.
What are they gonna do?
Rouge was being a bitch in front of Shadow.
That's hot.
Hell yeah, boy.
Just being a bitch. This kid's so fucking mean.
He has no patience for anything.
Whenever he
hates
swears,
women.
it's so funny because he's so innocent sounding.
He hates women.
Shadow said, "Why is she so aggressive?" Then the scene showed Amy in the prison. The prison she was in had blood all over the walls and the floor.
Rouge was just being a bitch and that was it?
Yep.
I had to confirm my canon.
Shadoosh for the win.
Shadoosh.
Shadoosh.
I was like, holy fucking shit! Then a black screen came up again. I was like, shit. Then a girl's scream came out of the loudspeakers. I jumped with fear. That moment almost gave me a heart attack. The screen snapped back again. Cream was then wearing a black dress. I freaked out saying, what the? Is her mother, Vanilla, dead? I was scared shitless, but the worst came. Cream hanged herself with a noose around her neck and hands tied behind her back.
Oh no!
So her mother, Vanilla, did die. You got that from her committing suicide.
Yes, why else would she?
I was then yelling. Then the screen went to black again. I said to myself, please no scream, please. Then the screen snapped back. Sonic was then kidnapped too. Then I said, oh shit. Then he was thrown into the exact same cell Amy was in. I was then worrying. Then 4 minutes later, it was even worse than before. The prison guards then turned Amy into a vampire. She had evil red eyes and a snake-like tongue.
She didn't
4
die.
minutes later, the police guard turned her into a vampire.
They threw Sonic in, and then 4 minutes later, they came back in and turned her into a vampire.
The fucking Sims.
What's going on, guys? We're gonna turn Amy Rose into a vampire. She had,
Not what I said.
she had,
Fuck you.
she had evil red eyes, and she had a snake-like tongue.
Okay.
She bit Sonic's neck and started sucking his blood, and then he turned into a vampire too. I then started to get scared even more. I screamed and then started to cry with pain. I said, no, please don't, stop,
What do you mean?
please.
Now they can be together forever. That's exactly what you wanted.
It was starting to get worse. What was weird is that every Sonic X episode was always about 20 minutes, beating Eggman being 40 minutes. But, however, This one was about an hour and 40 minutes due to the long-ass black screens.
It's a full feature length.
I was continuing to sob.
Elias, I like how you made that joke about saying it could only be 20 minutes. How long could this last?
I like how he had to sit through his long-ass black screens just to await what next torture came.
He doesn't.
Crying.
He doesn't even fast forward.
He doesn't want to miss it.
Waiting for the jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
I was continuing to sob, yet wanting to vomit my guts out. I was sobbing even more. Then it was far off worse than what happened. There was wedding music, but it was played in a high, scary pitch. And there was also a creepy siren noise. That noise was similar to the siren noise you hear in Silent Hill or something. The scene was then showing Sonic and Amy making Tails bleed to death unconstantly. Tails was screaming for help. I was unconstantly crying and yelling.
Unconstantly?
Yep.
What does that mean?
Not constantly.
That's not a word.
I don't know. Then the same exact thing that happened to Tails also happened to Rouge, Knuckles, Espio, Charmy, Shadow, and Vector.
Ooh.
I was freaking out so loud. Then Amy and Sonic were laughing evilly. I was screaming and crying and saying, "Amy, Sonic, no!" Then end credits came with the scary wedding music still playing. The credits even had the names of people I don't even know. The copyright...
That's usually how they go. It's not often you know the people that are working on the show.
The copyright notice at the end said, "Copyright 4Kids 2002. It was pretty odd, seeing as Sonic X was created in 2003.
Okay.
They had this one waiting in the wing. That was their pilot to see if they could get it aired.
So this is pretty good.
They scared 4 kids in the submission.
4 seasons.
Alright, well, you have 1 year to make 4 seasons.
After the episode was over, scaring wedding music was still playing, and then it showed the rider of Girls' Jungle Trap on the subway tracks.
Oh my god.
The real man?
The girl.
Animated in the Sonic X style?
She was sobbing uncontrollably as I was.
Oh, it was a lady.
Yeah. But then an on-speeding train was heading towards her, and that was it. She was hit by the train. She was dead.
Why did she write that?
I can't believe she penned Jungle Trap before her death and they still animated it.
Then the scary wedding music ended. But then there was a Russian text. I was
Why a Russian text? What?
They're scary.
I was afraid of Russian text because it reminds me of the sounds of hell.
What the fuck?
How is he gonna read it? He just doesn't like the language, doesn't care.
It reminds him of the sounds of hell.
The text.
How does he even know how to make the noises?
Then there was a scary voice reading the text.
Okay, there we go.
Then I got scared even more. I called the cops. They arrived.
3 in the morning.
I saw some scary Russian language on this VHS tape.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go to hell. Can you help me?
Oh, they arrived just in time to see what was happening.
You didn't pause the tape?
As soon as they arrived, it then showed a kid in a school hallway drinking from a water fountain. Then the tape ended abruptly. And when I was about to take the tape out of the VCR, it fell on the floor with the picture tape scrambled in it. I explained the cops everything about the tape. My brother Anthony woke up. He wanted to know what the hell was happening.
Why are there cops in the house?
The cops told him what happened.
He didn't tell him, the cops did.
He's really scared.
The cops sat down with him and watched the entire tape again in his house.
They all reacted the same.
They all agreed the Russian text sounds like hell.
You're right, this does sound like hell.
Then the cops took me and Anthony to an open late cafe. One of the cops told me that I may have had a bad dream. I told him it wasn't. I then opened the tape and showed him what was on the picture tapes. He was then shocked at what I showed him, and then he tried smashing the tape into little pieces, but the tape was indestructible.
Okay.
The next day, Saturday, I found a random sticky note on the tape. It said,
They let him keep the tape? Fucking encrypted Russian tape?
Of course.
I found a random sticky note on the tape. It said, Girls' Jungle Trap was not supposed to exist.
Now I am fucking scared. This is weird.
It was created to replace 2@12v.tag. I was finally able to translate what the person in the text said. I translated it to English and it happened to be saying, Abandon hope and thy God. In 10 years, Sonic and Amy will get you. I was...
Oh no. 10 years? That's so much time for dread.
I was scared and doomed.
It's like... powerful words.
I'm scared and doomed.
He's accepted it, but he's still scared.
It's like when Linus says if the Great Pumpkin exists and not when he exists, not when he comes. He's like, I meant when he comes. I'm doomed.
I tried doing a little research on the episode on IMDb, but nothing came up.
Wow.
I already...
Research. You know, people have to write the entries there. They don't just appear.
He tried.
One web search.
If you're the only one that has it, you have to put it on IMDb, idiot.
You gotta do it before the 10 years are up. I already know that 4Kids has their own YouTube channel, so I emailed them about the episode and got a reply saying, Thank you for contacting us about the episode. One thing,
Generic-ass response.
One thing, how on earth did you find out about that? We never, ever thought we would go through this again. Basically, the person who came up with the idea of Girls' Jungle Trap actually did die. We fired her for having this as a sequel to the episode you hated.
Where she dies in the episode?
I mean, fair enough. If she turned that in, I'd fire her too.
She made this full feature-length Sonic special.
Fucking psychopath, 2-hour-long fanfic episode. All animated and done by her.
We are sorry, Vincent. Yeah, that's my name. That you were seriously upset about the episode. Apology to burst your bubble about the copyright notice year saying 2002, but Sonic X goes way back as the world would know it, and we never did put in any vampire stuff or the evil wedding music or the creepy sirens or any scary stuff like that. Neither did we put that Russian text in. We're not that sick.
Oh my god.
Well, we just give Sanji lollipops and take out guns. We would never put in Russian text.
I like how they said, we're sorry that you're sorry. I just see that. We're not actually sorry, but we're sorry that you're sorry.
We're sorry you didn't like that. Now, this is our theory. The writer just actually edited it and put in all that stuff.
What do you mean she edited it? What parts did you make?
Then she hid it at the dumpster you found it in, right in.
He didn't say anything about a dumpster.
He just said he found a fucking tape.
Yeah, on his walk home. Fucking bullshit.
Then she hid it at
Dumpster diving, finding cursed Sonic tape. Police involved. There was an episode where Ahmed Mo didn't upload. He was magnet fishing because he's stupid. And he said in the title, police involved, and they never once showed up, even in the background.
Wow, he lied. Big surprise.
It pissed me off. It was 20 minutes.
We are so
They get you.
We are so sorry, Ahmed, that you were seriously upset about the episode. Let's see here. Now, this is our theory. The writer just actually edited it and put all that stuff in. Then she hid in the dumpster that you found it in, right in, I censored the name of my hometown, I know, when you were walking home from school. Oh, and about that footage of her subway death and the kid in the hallway. We do not know. We did not. Sorry, Vincent, from the bottom of our hearts for your concern. We didn't even know why those last two clips were in. 4 kids, aka the company involved with Revenge of the Jungle Trap.
Okay.
Episode origin. There is no origin of the episode, clearly. It is to be known the first person to watch this committed suicide. He said death and suffering should not be known of this 13 times before taking out a revolver and shooting himself. What else? Well, apparently if you find the exact same tape as I did, I want you to stay the fuck away from it. If you have seen any abandoned tapes too, contact 4 Kids by YouTube only.
Oh my god, screenshot that shit. It's so funny.
Okay.
Is that the end?
No, I have one more.
If you see any abandoned tapes, contact 4 Kids by YouTube only.
Because when a Sonic X viewer death is compared to this, it has to be something terrifying. Thanks for reading.
God. I rate that a big, delicious bowl of creepy linguine with garlic butter and a little bit of soy sauce.
I rate that a ghostly sticky note, foretelling ancient doom.
Alright, that a really good introduction to fucking Shadooge.
Shadoosh.
That was so funny, oh my god.
I'm glad I found that amongst the fucking, like, 1 paragraph ones that I was reading.
Fucking love this creepypasta idea. I love creepypasta so much.
Same. Dude, for Halloween, we need to write our own.
That's what we already do.
Actual in a creepypasta format.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Nice. You wanna go next or should I?
I will. Let me make sure I have an appropriate length one. I think I'm going to go for just the one medium one.
Yeah, we're already at an hour.
The Russian text. It sounded like hell.
It sounded like the sounds you hear in hell.
Okay. As a kid, I loved the Toy Story film. And you know what else I loved? The Genesis game. Played that game every time I got back from school.
That is not true. That game is shitty.
Before I went to bed, every time I got a new chance. A fantastic game. It was pretty much Disney's answer to Donkey Kong Country. But you should look up on YouTube.
I know what it looks like.
No, I know we've all seen it. I just mean listeners. You should look it up. It's very not that. I mean, it's sort of that. It's like a 3D, 2D.
Yeah, they used the same technology where they took 3D models and converted them into sprites.
Yeah, the freaking pre-rendered stuff.
Mm-hmm. But that game is not very fun.
George, don't you like when you hit B and he swings his doodle?
Don't you like the RC minigame?
No.
Don't you like how your character model's the same size as the screen so you can't see anything?
Fight giant nightmare Buzz.
That is probably where this is going. It's pretty scary.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm scared.
Anyways, bought a Sega Genesis yesterday. Got it.
You didn't have one?
Got it from a very nice thrift shop around the block from the very kind old couple running the place.
I had to play my Toy Story game.
Fucking potholes already.
Well, he's probably older now. Because it opened with as a kid. I loved the Toy Story film.
Sorry.
With that, okay, from the very kind old couple running the place. With that were cartridges of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Aladdin, The Incredible Hulk, and to my joy, Toy Story. Finally, I thought to myself,
The Incredible Hulk.
a much-needed blast from the past.
Blast from the ass.
It was Friday, and I had just gotten the weekend off from my job at the local Walmart. I was ready for a weekend-long nostalgic bonanza. What's so funny?
I'm sorry, just something about a creepypasta and a fucking Walmart worker fits so well.
I was ready for a weekend-long nostalgic bonanza, just me and my Genesis. So after blowing on the cartridge and inserting the disc, I switched the knob to on.
Inserting the disc?
Yeah, you know, the Sega CD.
The CD add-on for Toy Story.
Yeah.
You put the PS1 Toy Story 2 game into the Sega CD and got nothing.
It fucking melts in the disc process and glues it shut.
Creepy!
Dude, I put a PlayStation game in a Sega CD and it didn't work.
Fuck this. I mean, frig.
After skipping the company logos and legal notices, I got to the title screen. It was Woody's arms crossed, grimacing at Buzz, who was showing off to the other toys.
It's true, in the Genesis version he has an angry scowl, but in the Super Nintendo title screen he has a smile.
Oh, I thought... I remember... For a minute there, I thought it was like a friggin', like, when you're dead and you have your arms crossed around your chest.
Like laying
Now
down.
he's like this.
Yeah,
I've seen that title screen many a time, my friend.
I was wondering if this would be too specific to really make a joke out of, but it seems pretty good so far.
No, I had that game growing up.
I mean, like, for the audience.
No, they had that game growing up.
Okay. Well,
That's true.
I hit start button and Woody cried, "Yeehaw!" as
I thought you were
expected.
just going to say when Woody cried.
I like how it says "Yeehaw" as expected.
That's a good senior quote.
Yeehaw as expected. After starting the game, though, well, after Buzz Lightyear flew across the screen and knocked over the Toy Story logo, things went downhill. After a description of what had happened in the movie, complete with photos, the first level started where you would have to free the Green Army Men and prepare the baby monitor for Andy's birthday party, an easy stage. But things were a little being an understatement, a little off. The lighting was in the evening sunset, similar to the stages after the RC level, where Woody is confronted by the toys, and must help Rex escape from the room. Level design was the same as in the original aside from that, but the background music was the Nightmare Buzz theme. I don't know what was going on, but I played along, I guess. As I ran through the levels, I noticed there was no obnoxious enemies in my path, but a few obstacles to attack with my pull string. At the end of the stage, on the shelf where the baby monitor would be, there were small pieces of what looked similar to Bo Peep's limbs. Bo Peep's limbs. Buzz was standing there, waiting. When I landed on the ground, a cutscene was triggered. Words appeared over a black background. No music, no digitalized images from the film, just words in white normal font. Bo Peep took a tumble. She's gone, Woody. I was a bit startled by this. It wasn't until Toy Story 3 that Bo was written off. So, whatever happened? Is this a hack? A joke? Part of the original plot? Question mark? Then I saw a completely animated, digitalized CGI clip. It looked like one of those Sega CD clips with the 64-bit graphic capabilities. Much lower than 240p, but probably would have looked slightly impressive for the time. The clip featured a shocked, heartbroken Woody holding a string into the eyes of Bo Peep's severed head. Holding and staring into the eyes of Bo Peep's severed head. Going into a sobbing fit and repeating the word, "No." Bo Peep's eyes staring lifelessly back at him. The weird part? It was the same audio clip from the first Toy Story film, during the scene where Woody lights a match to ignite Buzz's rocket, only to be thwarted by a passing car. As Woody sobbed, Buzz pouted in shame. Then the clip ended when Woody turned his head towards the screen with a menacing glare, the look of an enraged killer. Then it faded to black, and another audio file played. You! Another quote from Toy Story 1 when Andy abandoned the toys at a gas station by mistake.
Just saying one word.
It's like a YouTube poop. It's like, you...
He knows this specific instance when he said one word.
The pawn shop just made a fucking YouTube poop music video, handed it to him.
On a cart. Well, he did say he put the disc in, so who knows what he's doing.
It's unlabeled, it's just got Sharpie title on it.
Toy Story Genesis.
It's so funny because when we played this last, we were talking about how this is like a creepypasta with the big buzz.
Uh-huh.
Gameplay returned. Apparently, I was now fighting Buzz. He seemed to be walking quite slowly towards me. Seemed like an easy battle. Things got real weird as soon as I whipped Buzz. His parts went everywhere, and the Wilhelm scream sound effect played like in the movie.
Tim Allen going, ah!
It felt corny at first, then the scream faded to more white text. This was your fault, Buzz. I loved her more than Andy could ever love you.
What?
Bo Peep's death. Andy loved Buzz, but not as much as Woody loved Bo Peep. That was me, not the story. Now that really puzzled me. Woody wouldn't even dare compare his love for Bo Peep to his devotion to Andy, let alone Buzz's. This cartridge was getting stranger by the minute. Next was a still shot of Mr. Potato Head pointing at Woody. Murder! Cried another recycled clip from Toy Story 1. The shot faded and was replaced with a clip of Woody again glaring at the screen. Gameplay went back up, and apparently, I was supposed to whip Potato Head, Robot, Rocky, Ham, and strangely, even Rex, who helps you during the game. No music in the background, just what sounded like a church bell starting 12.
Oh no.
Pieces flew everywhere, and I swatted the toys one after another. Finally, after swatting Rex, the screen faded again.
Can't
More
believe
white
he
text.
swatted Rex. He called the police on him.
I won't live in a world without her. So Woody's murdering everybody because they killed Bo Peep. Then it showed a CGI clip of Woody falling out of the same window that Buzz was knocked out of in the movie, except he ended up landing in the driveway. His head shattered loudly and violently into shards of plastic as his body lay lifeless.
God. Holy shit.
All of Andy's toys are destroyed. He's gonna be so upset.
It's just Andy on a bad day smashing his toys.
After the cutscene faded, I was taken to the fight with Nightmare Buzz. Things were the same, except rather than the usual quote that played before the fight, "You wouldn't want to be in the way when my laser goes off." The sound clip was Buzz murmuring, "Why did you do it, Woody?"
Woody just killed himself. Why is there still more game?
I tried to fight back, but the lasso would only go through him, unharmed, even when he was checking his wrist communicator. After helplessly losing all of my health, Woody went into his game over animation where he'd been bleakly pounded to the floor. Then Buzz flew into Woody and both of them dissolved into the background. Another fade and more text. There's only one place suited for you, for your kind, cowboy. Then a hellish cave with green fire faded into the words, "Game over," along with the normal game over music. Then fade and one last text. I'm sorry, Bo. I couldn't skip the text. It seemed to be one of those unskippable screens like when you beat a game. I shut off the system, pulled out the cartridge, and played some Aladdin. I didn't sleep all weekend. The end.
I didn't sleep all weekend.
I rate that story a creepy bowl of ramen noodles. Chicken ramen, to be precise.
I give that 2 sleepless nights, but then I got over it.
But then Aladdin made it better.
I rate that one giant pixel porn overlay of low opacity Nightmare Buzz.
That's so funny. I love this specifically the Toy Story Genesis game.
All the sound bites and the Wilhelm scream.
up, so let's just jump in and finish this sucker out. Now, this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down when I discovered a lost episode of Code Lyoko.
What?
I stopped watching the show due to all of this.
Stop watching this. What?
Yes, this is an actual lost episode I found. To most of you who don't know what Code Lyoko is, fuck you.
Alright, well.
Fuck.
George, did you write this story?
George, is this recent?
Did you write this and you just made this episode so we could read this?
No.
George, the lighting makes that so funny. You like narrow your eyes. No.
I was online a couple years ago at like around 1 a.m. looking up old Code Lyoko episodes as I was a huge fan as a kid, and the new episodes they show on TV are complete shit. Talking about
like
Code
season 2.
Let's talk about Code Lyoko Evolution, the live action.
That is shit.
The one where odd is 5.
Yeah, sure is. You're a fucking
We
toddler.
were just talking about that last night.
What the fuck? Why didn't you call me in for Code Lyoko talk?
It
You
was-
know I'm the Code Lyoko expert.
It's 5 a.m.
Fuck you.
Wake me up. It's Code Lyoko time.
There's no clock in Lyoko. Return to the past now.
Okay.
I want to talk about it at 8 p.m.
Return to the past now.
My favorite episode of the show is called Teddy Gozera. So after going through bad quality videos on foreign websites and other sites flooded with ads, I came upon an unofficial website that had full episodes ad-free. By the way, Lyoko fans, the entirety of the series is available free,
Don't
officially
say the
uploaded
webs-
on YouTube.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's on
I was
YouTube.
gonna say like xyzkisscartoons.com.
No, YouTube actually official. They uploaded it officially to YouTube.
Watch cartoononline.tv.
Thanks.
Oh, you're saying the out of story characters. It's actually on YouTube.
Yeah, that's me saying that.
Archive-zone.com.
Yeah, this kid's using it on some actual, just whatever. I remember the day like yesterday. My mom took me to a frozen yogurt shop to buy some yogurt. But the worst part of the trip was we had to go to Goodwill and buy a lot of used shirts.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I didn't write this.
That's just the funniest. There's a lot.
I wasn't saying sorry to you. I meant the author. You're only digging your own hole here.
George, this is so funny. I want to see the author's username after this.
No!
Don't bully. We don't do that because people like you will bully them.
Say it
You
right
rat
now.
bastard.
Give me his email address.
What are you gonna do? Message him on
You're gonna
creepypasta.org?
say, hey, I have 74k followers on Twitter. Fuck you.
I'm
I'm gonna send my blue-green army after you to bully you.
What's
The
up?
Blue Army.
Your mama raised a pussy, huh, bitch? You don't want any used shirts, huh?
You're gonna take him to. You're gonna do to him what PewDiePie did to the PUBG bridge.
Yeah.
Let's see, where was I? My mom said it was okay to buy some videotapes. I found nothing but all fucking Disney tapes. Maybe the Salvation Army is coming a Disney-like store. But there was non-Disney tape. But there were non-Disney videotapes. I decided to ask around and see if anyone had seen a lost episode of their favorite TV show. But that made me feel shy. Unsurprisingly, I got nowhere. I got either a no or a, what the hell are you talking about? I don't even know about lost episodes. Or a look like I just killed somebody, which made no sense whatsoever. But there was one man, I'm assuming in his mid-30s, who knew what I was talking about. He told me he used to work for Moonscoop back in the good old days, quote-unquote. Moonscoop is the
French?
company that makes Code Lyoko.
Some French animator man?
This is Franz Hopper for real. Okay, back in the good old days when cartoons like Chloe's Closet was just starting.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, baby.
Chloe's closet?
Steven, look up Rule 34, Chloe's closet.
Okay.
He said he had worked there as recently as a month ago, but then quit. Were the good old days a month ago?
Yeah, a month ago, the good old days before he got fired.
Quit.
Or had to find work at a Goodwill.
From Moonscoop to go. From a French company to fucking... God.
A successful French animation studio to some Goodwill in Nebraska.
Yeah, I quit. This is much better for me.
Oh no. I didn't know this is what Chloe's closet was.
What did you find? Let's see. Oh.
Oh, jeez. That'll get you kicked off Patreon.
I'm sorry.
That's the literal only picture.
Fans, do not look that up. You'll feel really bad.
That's like the lowest quality Rule 34 I've seen in a while.
Their faces are too young. Patreon will ban you.
Let's see.
Can we get put on a watch list for audibly saying that?
What? Their faces look too young. These
no,
cartoon
the Rule 34 Chloe closet.
Well, then quit saying it.
Sorry. Move on.
Let's see if the hentai has anything.
Steven, fuck
This
off.
is my Wi-Fi. My IP will be banned.
You won't be here that much longer.
You're right. I'm firing AT&T.
Blacked hentai on Reddit.
When I asked him why he quit, he said the following. Long ago, I found an unknown lost episode of Code Lyoko, and they gave me this special tape. It's a lost episode. It's all yours. I often wonder back at all those great shows we all grew up with, and wonder why it is that the shows these days are so crappy. I suppose it could be that all shows are only as good as the person watching them thinks they are. Perhaps as a child, I was just dumb enough to like the shit that was on TV at the time, but now that I'm an adult, I've grown cynical, and I think everything is garbage. Shows now may be better than the ones I grew up with. Probably not.
Dude, it's Linkara.
Probably not. My parents were going out that night. I was forced to babysit my 4-year-old sister, Tanya.
How old can this person be?
Yeah, they're an adult, but they're also they're living in their parents' house.
Let's see, Linkara.
No.
I put Tanya to bed while I went upstairs to watch this mysterious lost episode of Code Lyoko. I grabbed some Oreos, got a glass of lemonade, and ordered a pizza. I did not write this.
He's 32.
He's too old to be doing that. I put the DVD in. It showed the intro, but it was in a way and tone, and all of them were hopping out of the gray background, like if the creator of the show was drunk. Jeremy had a gun in his hand.
Okay.
Yumi had lasers. Odd was like a scare bear. And Ulrich and Aelita were both high. The episode was
Nondescript red-eyed.
The episode title was Yumi's Suicide.
Yumi's suicide starts out with him high.
Jeremy had a gun.
It's a Swiss Army knife.
There's an episode where they give Jim some strange laser weapon.
Gun.
Yeah, nail gun. And then he's like, how do I use this thing? And Ulrich's like, it's like a Swiss Army knife, Jim. He's like, what the fuck did you just say?
This is like nothing I hope you found.
The episode began with Jeremy in a hospital, and Aelita was sitting beside him in a rocking chair. Our first look at Jeremy was horrifying. He was on life support, and he looked pale, somewhat in a ghost-like form. He had a bandage on his right side of his face. He was doing a mix of coughing and crying. He then asked Aelita a question. Aelita, why would Sissy do that to us?
With his fucking gun in hand.
That was in the intro. It's not in the. It's not in the hospital.
I thought he was like squinting with tears in his eyes, waving his pistol around.
Aelita answered, "I don't know, Jeremy. I just the tape kept looping. It then went into a shot of Ulrich's house in a flashback, I presumed. Ulrich was out in his yard watering his flowers. Then he stopped and said that he wondered if his dad would take him to the movies the next day. He ran inside to ask. Ulrich's father was sitting at the table, a big red book open before him. Ulrich's father looked very sad and somewhat angry. Ulrich did not notice and asked his dad the question he wanted to ask him. His dad gave no response, but stood up and walked out of the house without a word. Ulrich looked upset for a second, then climbed into his father's chair and began to read the red book. Why do you say climbed? He's not a toddler.
His father's just huge.
I don't know if you ever see Ulrich's father, because he's one of the kids that lives on the campus. So I don't know why this situation is even present, but whatever. A voice that wasn't Ulrich's, or anyone in the shows for that matter, started to read disturbing poems. As the voice read on, he got more and more depressed looking. Everything except the book slowly faded to grayscale, and the voice got more and more high-pitched. Yumi was rolling around on a rough stone bed. Stone bed? Why does she have a stone bed? Is she in prison?
She's in a fucking coffin.
She couldn't get up. Her mattress was cold and hard, and furthermore...
And stone.
Cold and hard and also made of stone.
And a blue jay was squawking at her while her neurons raced in her head like her mother-in-law running from a Tyrannosaurus for dear life. She had purchased that... Don't worry about it. You've heard that expression before.
Run that back!
Her neurons raced in her head like her mother-in-law running from a Tyrannosaurus for dear life. Steven's shaking his head.
Keep going.
Okay.
She had purchased that bird as an alarm, and it did its job well. Unfortunately, Yumi didn't want it to do her job at all.
Yumi's a lazy little bitch, ain't she?
She bought a bird to wake her up, and now she's mad at the bird for waking her up.
Oh,
Sounds
no.
like a typical teenage girl.
She's in fucking bedrock. This better not be where that's going.
Actually, a Flintstones crossover? Question mark?
I swear to fucking God, if
What?
she
How
says
fucking
yabba
useless.
dabba
There's no
Yumi.
application to, like, virtual world in the Flintstones.
Yeah, Xana can't affect a goddamn thing.
Santa's there, but she has no impact.
Xana sends her all the way back to the past.
Return to the past now.
How far? 2,000 years.
To the
4,000 years.
to the funny Flintstones era.
To the funniest time in our period.
Just pick a funny time.
Got it. Let's see. Irritated and foul-tempered, Yumi yanked off the already damaged bottom right corner of the bed and flung it straight between the bird's eyes. She ripped a stone.
Is this Flintstones?
And threw it at a bird. That solved the problem, and Odd bought Yumi some slippers before her feet touched the cold stone floor.
What?
What a fucking simp. He just bought it and slid it under her feet in one frame.
Odd doesn't even like Yumi.
Odd is pathetic.
That's kind of an incel.
That's the opposite of a simp.
He does try to get with a lot of women in the series, so it makes sense that he wouldn't let her touch ground.
True.
That woman is a god, and she cannot touch ground. Only stone. The next scene started out like a harmless Code Lyoko episode, with Ulrich and Odd watching the sunset. But then Odd decides to go sandboarding. So they do. So far, a pretty normal episode. There is never sand ever in Code Lyoko.
Oh, there is.
Unless they're in Lyoko. But they're not.
They're in BC.
Stop.
In the BC
I'm
desert.
just saying all signs are pointing towards them fucking getting a car, but it not having wheels. And you're hearing...
How many times do they reuse the footage of them starting up the car?
How long does it take them to warm up the car?
They run to the car and then they're calmly sitting in the car and then the car is driving away.
It's just a scene where they're in the sewer on their skateboards, except it's them the fucking wheelless cars.
Odd then tries to do some sort of trick on his sandboard but fails. As a result, he falls and breaks his leg, and Ulrich goes after him to see if he's okay. During the scene, instead of the usual orchestra-like music, more suspenseful, serious music plays. The next part was really fucked up. Yumi and Aelita had their dildos stuck up their asses in the garden.
Holy shit.
What the heck? Where did this come from?
It's lost!
Is it CreepyPasta or fanfiction?
Boy, I'm liking where this is going. They saved us.
Then it cuts to static and another scene pops up.
Is some guy watching this, or?
Yeah, the guy that went to the Goodwill with his mom.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot. I got lost in the story.
This chaotic YouTube poop on a VHS tape.
I think this old man who was an animator just made this himself.
And said this is the last episode. It's got the good bits.
Oh.
It's got hospitals. It's got Flintstones. It's got dildos.
Hyper-specific fetishist tape.
Flintstone.
They have their dildos stuck up their asses in the garden.
They're stone dildos.
Oh, God.
They're just mole rats. And then it cuts to static, and another scene pops up where Aelita and Yumi are apologizing for something during the nighttime, except the lining of the animation and the voices don't match up. I distinctly could Mirabelle Kirkland was voicing Yumi, doing the voice of her. What was the most disturbing part, however, was that her voice sounded a lot raspier and sad. She sounded like she was playing a sad old Irish man with cancer. He walks over to Ulrich.
Okay. What the hell?
He walks over to Ulrich, who's not voiced by Barbara Scaff, the actor that originally portrayed him. Instead, he sounded like an angry German man.
This is all signs pointing towards this old man at the Goodwill made this tape.
Yumi, we need to go to this school to stop the teddy bear, he said. Ulrich was standing on his hind legs, and there was...
Okay.
there was...
Don't you fucking dare say come.
George!
Ulrich was standing on his hind legs, and there was clearly a swastika on his forehead. I'm making waffles, he yelled and kicked the llama plush into the background.
Ulrich! The most complacent motherfucker out of all of them has a big ass swastika and Sharpie on his big
He
ass
shouted,
forehead.
I'm making waffles, and kicked a llama plush into the background. You could see the llama had scratches on its body, with highly realistic core the likes of which Moonscoop could never produce on its own.
George, I'm so mad we can't put that in the thumbnail. Ulrich with a swastika on his forehead.
Yumi on a stone bed.
I think
Yumi in the Flintstone. Yumi drawn as a Flintstones character.
you should put her head on
better draw her
Fred's
a Flintstones
body.
vest.
Aww.
I can draw Yumi as a Flintstones.
I had been a fan of the show as it reached... Wait, hold on. With highly realistic core, the
I
likes
love
of which
Hanna-Barbera.
Moonscoop could never produce on its own. I had been a fan of the show as it reached my demographic as intended by the CEO of Moonscoop, but I don't see how anyone could enjoy this. Everything just seemed sad and dead. Ulrich walked to the end of a cliff, and you could see a visible noose around his neck. You see, Ulrich, walking off a cliff is a good way to prevent suicide. Yumi started talking abruptly. She took a CG dumpling out and shoved her dildo in it. You could hear someone snickering rather loudly to the sound of silverware falling in the background.
CG dumpling?
It's like the Invader Zim when they had the walnuts that cost them like $1 billion CG bucks.
Jesus Christ.
And then they ran out of funding. She peeled layer after layer of skin off until she was just a bloody CG skeleton with a picture of Mirabelle Kirkland's real head taped on as a post-production artifact. It wasn't even a scary picture of Mirabelle, just her playing the 850 meters with someone drawing a penis on her head.
What is happening?
This is a creepypasta.
Meanwhile, on a scene with Adolf Hitler, and he yells with a German accent, "My name is Odd, and I'm gonna fuck everyone in the show because I am deadly and sinister, like my dick." Wait, why is there cursing in a kid's show? That's so fucking inappropriate.
I am deadly and sinister.
Like my dick.
Odd.
Everything about this episode so far is inappropriate. The next scene shows the Nazis going into the inside of the school. Yumi calls Jeremy, but he's already dead. Jeremy tries to go through walls, but instead he tells some unfunny Seinfeld jokes just to break some fourth walls, which became unusual. But out of nowhere, Odd interrupts Jeremy's joke by yelling, "I'm a Nazi, bitch!" and uses his gun to shoot him. Yumi was seen and shoves a propane tank into Jeremy.
Into Jeremy?
That's it.
Ooh.
I hope you're happy with your story.
I am, I love
That
that.
was very scary.
That's beautiful. Holy shit. I give that a big fat Sharpie swastika on over its big ass head.
I give that a Purple Queen mattress, but it's made of stone.
I give that creepy baked ziti out of 10.
I'm a Nazi, bitch.
There was so much. I hate how it just abruptly ended. Like Jeremy didn't even have the E in his name at the end. It just stopped at Jeremiah. Like he just like the writer died and then uploaded it without finishing.
Dude, that's what happens.
Scary. I hope you enjoyed our scary, spooky, creepy time episode. CreepyPasta time.
Yeah.
Woo.
I think we're definitely gonna have to do more of these in the future because this was a lot of fun.
Mm.
Whole different sphere of stories.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice to mix it up every once in a while. But anyway, before we get out of here, Steven, would you like to tell the audience and us what our next topic is going to be for next episode?
Our next topic is going to be the Looney Tunes.
Whoa. Ooh. That's cool.
Do Animaniacs count as Looney Tunes?
No.
Okay.
They're by Warner Bros., but they're not the Looney Tunes.
They are Looney Tunes, but they're not the Looney Tunes.
There you go.
I swear to God, if I see a single Big Chungus story.
Been stockpiling them, I'm sure.
Alright, I think that's it. So thank you guys for listening. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, where you can always contact us on Twitter if you ever have any suggestions, comments, or whatever. Share us with your friends. Spread the love, spread the laugh.
Subscribe, rate us, or actually follow us on Spotify.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
Use the Spotify app or computer program to listen in today. Steven, what do you want to promote?
Watch, listen, put on 2 tabs. One tab, the entirety of the Flintstones, and on the other one, the entirety of Code Lyoko, and find,
Look for clues.
yeah. Find continuities between the two.
I recommend in these cold months to wear wireless headphones and listen to the podcast, then cover it with a beanie and go to work and pretend you're listening to your boss, but actually listen to our episode.
Hell
Yeah, my friend that I go to college classes with did that, so we didn't have to listen to the college proctor.
Big brain.
Yeah.
You're paying for that class and you do that stuff.
Alright, thank you guys for listening. More stuff always coming. We got things working. We got some exciting things we're gonna plan to do. The art show is coming. We're finally penciling in some dates to start recording that. It's gonna be so sick. We're excited. We got some cool guests lined up to come on. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be fantastic.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Anybody have a scary way to end the show?
Yeah, play, I know we referenced this last time already, but look up, oh wait, what was anything we referenced? That was Ernest Chan, never mind. Look up, Sheldon Flash German and play that on, 1.25 speed
YouTube.
on YouTube.
Fuck. That is scary. Okay, bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.